So Hasbro, now that we have Studio Series SWOOP completing all of the Dinobots from the movie, can we please move on to the real deal? What's going on, everybody? Republic Cinema here, and in this video, we're going to be taking a look at the brand spanking new Transformers Studio Series 86 Dinobot SWOOP. Now, this figure was set to come out right around the same time Snarl came out last year, but he came early. Anyways, SWOOP was the final addition to all 5 of the Dinobots from the 86 movie. That's unless there's some concept characters. This guy sorta stands out from the other 5. He is smaller and much more bluer than the other 4. And of course, he's a little bit more on the aerial side of his alternate mode. But before we talk any more about this figure, let's take a quick look at the packaging. So starting off on the front, you get this nice cartoon artwork of SWOOP in his alternate mode. And of course, the rest is all words, names, and logos. On one side is a more zoomed out look to his alt mode, and the other side is a more zoomed in look. On the top is the Transformers the Movie logo, and on the bottom is all boring. And on the back, there's a little bit more info on what you get inside the packaging, and that's pretty much the entirety of the box art. Now moving back to the figure. So starting off, painting and sculpting, pretty good. He looks exactly how he would look in the movie, especially since there appears to be, like, barely any kibble anywhere. I don't think the wings count as kibble. And the head sculpt is looking really nice. As you can see with this head, he does have quite a long fin for his forehead, I guess. And of course, what is a G1-ish Transformer without his insignia on the chest? Now, the quality on this figure is alright. Nothing too loose, nothing too tight. So far on my copy, better than Sludge. Moving on to accessories. So starting off, he does come with 2 missile launchers, which go on the wings. It's also worth mentioning that the missile that is painted in golden is removable. So in case you have blast effects, you can get a little creative with that. And if you want to get more creative with the missile launchers, you could plug them onto the shoulder as if they were Seeker null rays. There is also some storage on the back. And now time for the swords. One thing to point out is that the swords are different in shape and size, which I guess SWOOP here is a professional dual wielder, as having 2 long swords would that would be a little hard to handle, so he's got a smaller one to balance things out. I think that's how that works. Now, in case you found it disappointing that Grimlock did not come with any swords, you could take one of SWOOP's swords and just go ahead and plug it onto Grimlock's hand, and yeah, Grimlock has an unofficial Grimlock sword. These swords can also be stored on the back, and that's pretty much it in terms of accessories. Now moving on to articulation. So starting off, ball joint at the head, which allows the head to move up and down, and swivel. I don't know if the wings count as articulation, but they can move back and forth. Full rotation at the arm, bend at the shoulder, somewhat of a butterfly joint, but that's used for transformation. Bicep swivel, bend at the elbow, wrist swivel, waist swivel, legs can spread, leg can move forward, can also move backwards, thigh swivel, double bend at the knee. This doesn't count. I don't know if this counts, but the foot can move up and down, as well as the heel spur. And lastly, the foot can pivot. And yeah, that's pretty much it for articulation. Just about what you'd expect for a later class figure. And now with the articulation out of the way, we can move on to size comparison. Starting off with Grimlock, Slug or Slag, Sludge, Snarl, Nah, Hot Rod, Cup, Blur, Springer, which I recently did a review on, be sure to go check that out, Wreck-Gar, Commander Class Ultra Magnus, and lastly, here he is next to the Age of Extinction Grimlock. And the gang's pretty much all here, minus RC and some Junkions. But now here is SWOOP alongside all of his fellow Dinobots, and I'm really happy this team of Dinobots has been completed for 2 reasons. One being that all of them look better together, and of course the second reason is that we can finally move on to the actual Dinobots. No, just kidding, I know these Dinobots came around before the live-action movie Dinobots were even a thought of. Seriously though, this guy debuted in the first wave, and now it's time for his fellow buddies to join, as he's waited, it's been like 6 years now. Wow, time flies. The last thing Hasbro could say is, would you guys be interested in a war for Cybertron Grimlock? No! Finish up the Age of Extinction Dinobot team, then we can talk. But again, I know making the Bayverse figures takes a lot of time to do nowadays, as they are kind of expensive now. So, for Hasbro, take your time, and can't wait to see what Grimlock's buddies are going to look like in the Studio Series. But now, out of all the 86 Dinobots in their robot mode, which one's your favorite? So, with the size comparison out of the way, we can finally move on to transformation, which is pretty straightforward. Wasting no time at all, starting off, what you will do first is fold in the hands and just leave the arm straightened like that for now. Same thing for the other side. The forehead opens up, which will allow the head to close in, and it will allow the forehead to close in as well, and then move this entire head section outwards. And before we continue on with the transformation, here we have a money shot of what would be the potential of a cursed Transformers image. The chest will open out, which will allow for you to move the head all the way out like so, and this blue panel will close inwards. The chest will shift inwards. This part's a little fiddly. The same process will be implied with the other side. And then you will be sure to close them in. You'll hear a loud click, and then bring this down. To work on one side of the wing will tab into the arm, unfold the wing, straighten it out evenly, and then bring this tip backwards. And one more thing, you'll bring this out, and same thing for the other side. Now, before we start off on the legs, make sure the feet are straightened out, and then you just want to close all of this together. After that, this entire leg section will fold backwards and tab onto that big blue slot right there, and then same process implies with the other side. Here we have Dinobot Swoop in his alt mode. As you can see, he's transformed into what I guess could be a pterodactyl, maybe a pteranodon. I'm gonna go pterodactyl mode for now. Pteranodon sounds dumb to me. So, painting and sculpting for the pterodactyl mode is pretty good. Of course, this figure does have a little bit of kibble, but it's not too bad as it stays nice and snug. Oh, and the wings are beautiful. You also gotta appreciate that there's the Autobot insignia right there, but I gotta say Swoop's head sculpt in Dino mode is the best looking out of the entire mode, and the eyes are looking pretty cool as well. Now, of course, what is a Dino mode without articulation, as this guy is on a double neck joint for his head. The lower jaw moves out, which there is a port that is blast effect compatible. The wings are also articulated, and these little feet bits move up and down as well, to which if you put his head like this and fold in both of his wings, you're left with this. I suppose this is Dinobot Swoop in his perched mode. Another thing you can do, just to be creative, is have Swoop's robot mode arms opened out, so that way Dino mode Swoop does have something to, use to hold stuff. Now for the accessory storage, you could either have the missile launchers stored accurately, stored inaccurately, stored on the shoulders, and you could also store them right here. And the same can be said for the swords. I believe this is how the weapon storage is supposed to go, but if you want something a little bit more bayonet-esque, here you go. Overall, Dinobot Swoop does have quite the variety for weapon storage, and for a brief comparison with his other Dinobot buddies, here he is next to Grimlock, here he is next to Slug, or Slag, here he is next to Sludge, and lastly, here he is next to the previously made Dinobot, Snarl. And the gang's all here. Instead, this time, they're in their alt modes, which, if you ask me, is a little bit more of the iconic part. After all, they don't call them Dinobots for nothing. To be honest, I'm impressed they were able to finish all 5 of these figures in just 3 years, which just shows the commitment when producing the 86 figures in general. If only the same could be said for traditional studio series, but I'm sure one day they'll go back to all of that. But for now, I guess this is what we're working with now, or at least not anymore, now that all of the Dinobots are completed, and the Autobots are almost completed from the 86 movie. The 86 Decepticons, however, are the ones that are kind of lacking, so there's a lot of stuff to be done over there. But anyways, now with the completion of the Dinobots, leave a comment down below which one out of the 5 is your favorite in Dino mode. And I think that's pretty much it. I think that's all I had to say for this guy. Overall, pretty great leader class. If you're looking to pick this figure up and complete the Dinobots that you have, I definitely recommend picking this figure up. The issue is, if you're looking to get this figure, well, he's kind of a lot on Amazon and sold out in other places. And if you want to look for him in the stores, you'll have to wait till October, and most likely he'll be pretty hard to find. So for now, the only option is that expensive scalped price on Amazon for $79 and $10 shipping. Honestly, I'd say wait. You never know when you'll get a good opportunity to pick this figure up, so just be patient, just be patient. Much like the other Dinobots, this figure's pre-order sold out within 3 minutes. I remember this because I was there. Pre-ordered him just on time, and then I checked later on for about maybe 3 minutes later, and he's not there. But yeah, leave a comment down below if you were able to pre-order this guy. And if you like what you saw in this video, be sure to slam that like button, share this with your friends as well. Turn on post notifications so that way you don't miss another video. Let me know how I did in this video as well. And most importantly, be sure to hit that big red subscribe button. And yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. See ya!